Okay, here we are. We are live again.
Heyo.
Oh man, thank you. If you're still tuning in, let me see if I can put this up on my personal page. Um, how do I share this?
We got 12 to go.
Parts to the thing, not albums. Um, hold on. Oh Jesus. Oh, that's why. Okay. Facebook, if you're listening, Facebook, you need a better way to do this. Um,
Facebook? Clunky?
Clunky? Who's no? Surely not. No,
It can't be.
it can't be. It just can't be. Um,
Chet, you're
here we are.
giving her, giving her, giving her, giving her, giving her.
Oh, fucking hell, man.
Did you see his mock up t shirt that he posted?
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
Give her,
Giving her,
Jesus.
giving her, giving her, giving her. Where is it?
All right. Oh, well, welcome back to the greatest thing you've never heard. We're still here. We're still here. Oh, reevaluating my life choices. But, it's a good time. I'm having fun. I hope you guys
Hell
are
yeah.
having fun. Thank you for everyone who's still here. Um, I'm kind of surprised I'm still here.
We're getting there. We're in the home stretch.
We're in the home stretch. All right. Let's roll. Let's get into it. Number 12, Elder Omens.
Elder.
Man, Elder's been like one of the most important bands of the last several years.
For sure.
Um, we'll give you the logo, Chet. We'll get you the logo.
We will. Giving her, giving her, giving her, giving her, giving her, giving her. And then he put an unts in there.
Oh God. Elder's been one of the most important bands of the last 5 years or so. Yeah, yeah, right there with you, Eugene.
And they keep changing and evolving. It's cool.
They do. They keep changing, evolving, progressing. Really, truly.
Yeah. Legitimately.
Yeah, legitimately. Yeah. They're so they had the album of the decade for me for the last decade. Lore, their 2015 album was my 2010s album of the decade.
It's a great album.
What was the 2017 one? Elements of a Floating World or Remnants of a Floating World?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it was my album of the year for 17. If anything, comparatively, I'd say this is. I'd say it's a step down comparatively, but just in the sense that, like, Jesus, the expectations were so high.
Right.
Like two albums in a row were albums of the year. Had album of the decade in there, and like the other one was like number 4 for album of the decade. Like it was
Right.
all just they've been so huge. Like
Yeah.
it's so hard to keep that level. So really, it is a great record. It is a great record. Progressive, riffs, more compositional than song oriented.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's fair to say.
And they've changed, but they're still doing something different. I mean, they're doing something cool.
Yeah,
They're not just well, let's just be weird for the sake of being weird or whatever. There's none of that really. So
yeah,
it is interesting. I mean, it's a lot of times with great bands, I mean, they get restless doing what they were doing and they don't want to do it again. So they haven't. I mean, and this is definitely a solid album. I mean, this one definitely warrants replays, and yeah, I mean they're just a great band.
absolutely, absolutely. Um, on to number 11. Your favorite, High
My favorite.
Spirits.
I
High,
had very yeah. Hard to stop.
hard to stop by High Spirits. I think the reaction you're having is the reaction I had the first time I heard them.
Yeah,
They are very much aiming at a sort of 80s niche, and they are hitting that niche full on.
for sure, no doubt.
And there's it's is it like a cheese element? There is almost a cheese element to it. Like the album covers are very like not just 80s or not. It's not like yeah this is 80s. It's early it's mid 80s thrash or something. This is it's 80s. That's like yes it is heavy rock, but it's like it could have been on a radio. Like it could have been
Hmm.
not hair metally, but like it could have
No,
been like a popular 80s rock track that's been forgotten to time, or like an 80s rock record that like you know should have been popular but wasn't at the time.
I mean
Like
it's like a party record, kind of
yeah,
it's a fist pumper. You
yeah,
know,
everything is all the songs have these gigantic choruses, not the overwrought choruses I would say that I was complaining about earlier.
no,
It's just so catchy and earwiggy and just it gets right in your head. And
yeah, and that's why I was like, I don't know if I love this or if I hate it. And I mean, it's it sounds like hyperbole, but I honestly am not sure. Because this is the kind of record where I might find myself going back to it over and over and over because this guy, because it's really a one man band. I mean, I know he tours obviously with a group, but I think he plays everything on the album himself, if I
yeah, I
remember
think so.
correctly.
Chris
But
Black, yeah.
yeah, but I mean, he just goes for it, and it's a lot of fun. I mean, he clearly doesn't give a shit. Like this is what he wants to do. It makes him happy, and it's hard to argue with that.
Yeah, he's
It's
got some other bands as well. It's either Dawn Rider or Dawnbringer. I always get those
okay.
two confused.
Yeah,
But whichever one I'm thinking of, that's really good as well. But a completely different style of thing.
yeah.
And I'm not sure what else he's got, but man, yeah. And he's a very unassuming looking dude. Like
He is. He just looks like an average guy.
I saw them at Walters downtown a few years back,
Okay.
and they put on a great show. A
I would
great
think they would
show.
be a lot of fun to see live. I mean, this is a grab some beers and you know you're gonna have a good time. It's
It,
not
it it's the
not
record.
heady. It's not clever. It's not
No.
they're not they're not they're not going for that. And they don't need to because they're hitting the right notes. You know in the other way.
Yeah, absolutely. They this isn't ponderous at all. It's not
Mm-mm.
brain music really. It's just it is ear candy, and damn if it isn't delicious. Yeah, the first time I heard them, the first record I heard by them, I forget which one it was. I had that same problem that you're having now. And each successive record they've put out since then, I have cared less and just gone with it more.
I think that's my reaction to that kind of music. Period. It was my reaction to that music then. It was always kind of dubious to me. Like, how dare you have fun? It's like that kind of. And then you listen to it and you're like, well, wait a minute, what's wrong with that? Isn't that kind of the point? Not every band is going to sound like this. And if you want to hear a band that sounds like this, you listen to a band like High Spirits. You know that this guy's going to deliver that for you. If you need to hear something more heady or whatever it is that you're looking for, you go somewhere else.
Yeah, I think for 2020 there was no better form of musical escapism.
That's true. It is a great record for 2020, for
Yeah,
sure. Yeah, that's a good point.
yeah. Number 10 into the top 10.
Here we go.
Canaan.
Yeah,
If that's how it's pronounced, and if it's not, apologies.
yeah.
I have fucked up more pronunciations on the show this year. Like people who I'd known for years, I couldn't get the names right.
I mean, we're not Swedes, so
These were not Swedish people. These were these were people from Pennsylvania who I had known personally for years, and I had been apparently, because I'd never said their last name out loud.
Right.
I had, I just read it, and I
Yeah.
had read it wrong in my head for,
Yeah.
decades. Anywho, Kanan Odin session. So not again. This is another one that's on my list twice, and I was listening to these records, the two records that we have here, and I was almost wondering if maybe I shouldn't have flipped them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but nonetheless, at that point, I've made the list and I'm sticking to it. So
This one's a little more freeform than the other one, if I remember correctly.
I think that's right. And it's very proggy, very psych, very kind of we're talking compositions, not songs. Jamming out there, and I don't know. So they had two other studio albums, one that came out this year, and then one that came out a couple of years back. My initial impression was that this might be a live, or like at least live in studio recording, because Odin sessions is something I have seen from a number of different bands. Like I'm not sure if it's in Sweden or if it's in somewhere, but it's a there's a bunch of bands that will have they're like you might have BBC sessions or something like that.
This album, well, they're a Norwegian group, and they went to
Norwegian, okay.
Denmark. They went to Denmark to record this at Jonas Munk's home studio.
Oh, okay, and it was on El Paraiso. Yeah,
Yeah.
Jonas Monk. I'm Jonas, whether it's Jonas or Jonas, I don't know. Yeah, he is the one of the main dudes in Casa Sui, and who with El Paraiso Records. So yeah, this one was on El Paraiso. That's right.
And he plays on this record.
Oh, no shit. Okay.
Yeah, I think he actually plays several instruments on this record. Not on every track, but he plays several different instruments on the album. But yeah, apparently he has a home studio, and that they drove apparently to Denmark to record this album. And it was they've apparently done that before. It's not the first time that they did it, but so it's I mean, I guess you can hear you can hear a little bit of that Casa Sui influence on there. But
yeah, I think that's right. Yeah, not the last. Hold on.
Yeah, not as much. Yeah, not as much the other one. Yeah.
Yeah. Not the last time we're going to hear about them. So
right. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I'd like this a hell of a lot.
Yeah, it's a cool record.
Yeah. All right, on to number 9. Acid Mess.
There we go. Spain.
Spain. Sangre de otros mundos. Blood of other mundos.
Blood of Other Worlds.
There we go. Worlds. There we go. Yeah. So this is a band that I first heard about with their last record, which I think came out in 2015, and very psychedelic. It's Spanish psych, basically, is what we're talking about. You're going to hear elements of traditional Spanish music in there, and just really cool musicianship, really cool songwriting.
Some notable Latin rhythms going on, and
yeah,
this is This is a really cool record.
Yeah, they had that on their last record. It's earlier. I think earlier than that, before their last record, they had been almost like a punk band or a hardcore band or something. Like they had evolved quite a bit to where they did their last record, but they've stuck with that sound, which is
there's a punk edge to it
cool.
at times. Yeah, you can hear that rawness in there.
Yeah,
which is cool because for this kind of music, you don't usually hear that. I mean, psych is all about the flow, and punk is a total. It's just a different animal. But it's one of the more original, like very original, very unique releases in this list. In the sense that it really doesn't sound like anything else specifically.
No, there's one there might be a little bit of similarity with as we.
For sure. I mean, it's not like an outlier, but it's
no.
They do their own thing for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's on Spinda Records, which is a great Spanish label. If you want Spanish stuff, Spinda Records is probably where you're going for Spanish psych.
Right on.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of theirs. Yeah, number 8, Elephant Tree Habits from England. Yeah, these guys, they've gotten a fair bit of buzz over the past, I don't know, 4 or 5 years or so. And their last record, I didn't see, like I just didn't quite see it.
Hmm.
But this one I like very much.
This is a great record. I like this record a lot.
Yeah,
There's a Smashing Pumpkins thing going on here with this record at times to me a little bit. Um,
interesting.
but they cover a lot of different ground too. I mean, it's not it's I don't know, man. This record really hit it for me. My wife liked this one a lot too. We were both like, yeah, this one, we're going back to this one for sure.
Yeah,
They hit all the right, they hit, it's a really cool mix of things that nobody else really puts that stuff all together like that. And they do a really good job of it.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, very much looking forward to what these guys have coming. I think they just put
Yeah.
out either a live thing or outtakes or something. They put out some sort of release recently, and I know they're trying to figure out a new label. They were caught up in the whole sort of
Mm.
like this came out on Holy Roar, and then Holy Roar went under because the guy who ran it was a piece of shit. But um, so they're figuring out a new label situation. They may have something at this point, but
Hmm.
looking forward to where they're going next.
Yeah. A cool band and a great record. It's cool to see it up that high.
Yeah. Um, yeah, and here we go. Number 7, CB3
Hmm.
Aeons. This was a great record, man.
This
Was
is
a
a really cool record. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of King Crimson here.
Hmm.
Um, I forget where they're from, and
They're
I forget.
Swedish.
Is it?
Malmo.
Oh, shocking,
I know
shocking.
it is shocking. They're sweet. They're a three piece. It's a woman and two men, if I remember correctly, and they, it's funny. You look at their pictures, and then you listen to the music, and there's space rock in here. There's even like they get pretty heavy at times. I mean, obviously they get into King Crimson territory, like very much so. I mean, like the last track, they were listening to the album Red by King Crimson, which is my favorite King Crimson album, so it's fine with me.
Yeah,
But that's not all they do. And yeah, this record smokes, man. This is a
yeah,
good one.
yeah. It does.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. We got Seamus back. We had
Oh yeah.
Seamus. I think was missing for a minute. Eugene Bird off that album. I think that was Elephant Tree, right? Bird. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Seamus, by the way, Seamus Elephant Tree, the album Habits. Check that out because I think you're going to be a fan of that one.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. Yeah. But this was a really cool record.
Yeah,
Was
for
this El
sure.
Paraiso as well? I feel like it was El Paraiso. I could be wrong.
I don't have that in my notes, so I'm not sure.
I can find that real quick.
Yeah, I know it's their fourth album. I got that, but
No, it's
kicked
not.
ass.
It's not. The album cover just looks like it is.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
It almost. You can't really. Yeah. You can't really
Oh
see
yeah,
it.
it's got that. It's got that kind of like there were these albums that came out in like the 80s or 90s that were, like one was Whale Songs and one was Rainstorm and one was, and they all had similar. The El Paraiso album covers have that same look, kind of like this abstract blob of color on a white background with, very specific font, like very clean,
Yeah.
no frills
E-
font.
Everything's got a theme. Like they've got the most consistent sort of
Yeah,
cover art theme going
yeah,
for their and all the labels releases since maybe Man's Ruin, maybe even
yeah,
more.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. But yeah, I'd say that the cover does look like that. That's actually a good point. Yeah, it's a good
Yeah.
record though. Check that one out too, guys.
Absolutely. Well, we're definitely back to El Paraiso on number 6 because we're back to Canaan.
Mm-hmm.
Double Sun, the other record they
Mm-hmm.
put out, in at number 6. Um, maybe not as out there as Odin Sessions, but
Right.
yeah, really great record. I could kind of flip them, like they really do kind of pair well to for me. There's
They're
kind of a
complimentary, yeah,
group,
for sure.
yeah, a group of psych records, and I kind of feel like Elephant Tree and Kanan's 2 records and CB3 and to a certain extent Acid Mess, although that's not quite in that same, but like those 4 in particular, the 2
Hmm.
Kanans, the CB3, Elephant Tree, I kind of mentally lumped together this year.
Hmm.
Just like the really, really great psychedelic shit.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, this one's got some Pink Floydy kind of stuff going on. Some of that more melodic, expansive. There's a little bit more space in some of the tracks. But yeah, I agree. They're definitely complementary albums. I mean, they could almost be a double album, so to speak.
Yeah.
But again, a three piece. I mean, these guys are making a lot of noise for three people. It's that was one of those ones where I had to go back and I was like, wait, I wrote it down, and I'm like three piece, and then I'm listening. I'm like, there's no fucking way three people are doing. I mean, I understand there's overdubs and stuff, but there's probably not a lot of that going on with this stuff. It's most of it, I'm assuming, if not all, is done live. So, it was cool.
Yeah. Absolutely. All
Mm-hmm.
right. Number 5.
Another revisit.
Another revisit. Last revisit.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Jason Molina's 8 Gates.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This was the first posthumous sort of new album
Mm-hmm.
that Secretly Canadian put out for him.
Mm-hmm.
I think recorded around about '08. It's not home recordings. He is working with other people in putting
Mm-hmm.
it together.
Yeah.
Although there's not much other instrumentation. It's mostly just him.
Not a lot, but it's clearly done in a studio. The clarity's there. Uh,
Yeah.
a lot of the tracks sound unfinished, but again, it's Jason Molina, and he's one of those artists. His fans will listen to anything that he puts out, and it's because they know, yeah. I mean, they know, like his fan page on Facebook. I mean, his dad posts on there, and everybody's super nice, and
Yeah.
but it so a lot of these tracks are not fully fleshed out, but this is more of the, if you're familiar with Jason Molina, if you listened to the Ghost Tropic episode that we did, and you're familiar with that album, it's a similar kind of sound, that style of Jason Molina, the kind of like open, kind of spacey, kind of, I don't know. I mean, it's also emotional, so I can't use the word
Yeah.
emotional.
But much shorter songs.
Yeah.
The whole record is like 25 minutes or something. Like it's a short
Yeah.
record.
Yeah. I mean, some of them are clearly not finished. However, they sound great.
Yeah.
They just don't finish. I mean, they just, instead of going somewhere else, they just stop sometimes. But
Yeah.
the ideas are solid, and it's again, it's Jason, and you're just happy to get it.
Yeah. And so some of the most poignant stuff is the little sound, I guess he talking into the mic before or after a take.
Right. Yeah.
The perfect length for the song is as long as the guy singing it's still alive, and it's just like, whoa.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Like that's yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my hope is that we'll get more from the Secretly Canadian vaults.
Mm-hmm.
I think there is a lot of stuff he recorded. He was so prolific. This was written and recorded, I think, at the very end of his main period, or really towards the end of that. Towards the end, if not at the end of that period.
Mm-hmm.
But that 12 or 13 year period, he just wrote so much shit. And I think my guess is that there is at minimum a box set's worth of material that is out there.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it's got to be.
Yeah.
I mean, he was just cranking it out.
Yeah. And a lot of it's going to be home recordings. A lot of it's going to be less produced even than this. So I hope
Which again, I mean, it's he doesn't even need instrumentation necessarily. I mean, it could just be his voice, and that would be fine.
That would be fine.
It would there would be a power to it that he really is that good of a singer. He just
Yeah.
I mean, it's cool to hear it. It's always nice to hear new stuff from somebody who's this special, I guess you could say.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So let's on to number 4.
Mm-hmm.
Pale Divine, Consequence of Time.
The mighty Pale
The
Divine.
mighty Pale Divine, who were Greg and Darren kind enough to come on the show earlier this year to talk about Cemetery Earth.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a different record for them. This is
Mm-hmm.
a very different record for them, and
Mm-hmm.
they've been around for it's getting close to 25 years since they first formed, and close to 20 years from the first record.
Mm-hmm.
And it's they brought in for this record. They brought in Dana Ort from Beelzefuzz,
Mm-hmm.
and there's always been a strong connection between Pale Divine and Beelzefuzz, in that Pale Divine originally had Darren on drums,
Mm-hmm.
alongside Dana, and the original bass player, and then there was a bit where they, I guess, either broke up or the bass player left, or I think the story differs depending on whom you
Yeah.
ask, but
Right.
not trying to wade into that, but then Greg from Pale Divine joined into Beelzefuzz for a record, and as lead guitar player, and so you had it was almost the same band. That at that point for that record, Beelzefuzz had Bert Hall from Revelation on bass, and that was a great record that they put out, and then but then Beelzefuzz broke up, and then it was announced that Dana was going to join Pale Divine on guitar. I figured it seemed like first on guitar, and you figure, okay, maybe he'll do some backing vocals or something, and you figure he's just kind of playing rhythm guitar, but like he has a huge part in this record. Like he is not secondary. He is primary. He's doing a lot of lead vocals. He's doing a lot of guitar stuff in there. A lot of he'll do this thing. I don't know if it's via pedals or what, but like his guitar will almost sound like a keyboard,
Mm-hmm.
or an organ, and he'll run it through a Leslie sometimes, and
Mm-hmm.
you got a lot of that on there. So it's a very different record for them. But damn, if it wasn't great, like
It's a
everything
great
they
record.
do,
For real.
yeah, everything they do is so good, and this is no exception at all.
Yeah.
It's one of their
I
best.
was really impressed with this record. It was cool hearing. I mean, both vocalists are great, but I wasn't expecting to hear his vocal style, and it really transforms the music. I mean, the music's different than, like you said, than the stuff like Cemetery Earth. It's definitely different, but man, this album is great.
Yeah, it's
So
really, really good.
it was really cool to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, number 3. Once more back to Spain for
Mm-hmm.
Mora, self-titled album from Mora, self-titled debut.
Mm-hmm.
These guys, I think there is some connection. There may be some connection member-wise to Hybrido or Atavismo.
Hmm.
I might be wrong. I might be full of shit on that. I could be absolutely wrong. But well, I know. I mean, it's Spinda Records again, which did
Mm-hmm.
Ass and Mess, and they also did Hybrido, which was my album of the year last year.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, these guys also have psychedelic rock mixed with a bit of traditional Spanish music, and
Mm-hmm.
and really putting that kind of flavor on it. You get the Latin feel to it, and
Mm-hmm.
really cool and inventive songwriting, and like this for a long time I was thinking this might be album of the year. Like for a long, this was the one to beat for much of the year.
Mm-hmm. They sing they sing this album in Galician, in their native language, so it's definitely unique for that. But beyond that, the music is, I mean, there's some folk elements, there's psych, some prog. It's it's a cool record.
Yeah,
I mean, there's some really neat stuff coming out of Spain, I have to say. And they seem to be putting a cool twist on, like that Hybrido record. I remember that one from last year when you put that one at number 1. That was a kick-ass record too.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
definitely check out Atavismo's Inerte, which was from 2017.
Right on.
That is a really great record as well.
Cool.
But yeah, these guys are great, and looking forward to more from them. And yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we're getting there.
2 more.
2 more. Ellis Monk Ensemble, San Diego Sessions.
This is a scorcher.
Fuck yeah, it is.
This is a great record.
So now we get to talk about the San Diego psych scene.
Yep.
And the tie-in with Cause of Sui. So this is El Paraiso Records and Jonas Monk from Cause of Sui. And so, El Paraiso has been a really great supporter of the San Diego psychedelic scene, which, in my opinion, is the best psych scene on the planet. The bands that most people will know are Earthless and Radio Moscow, and those are both great bands, 100%. But there is a lot more going on than just those bands.
Right.
And I would point to bands like Sacramonte, Joy, Monarch. Monarch might be my favorite of the bunch. Volcano, Peture, Arctic, Ocelot, Psychomagia, Astra. There's a bunch. There is a whole bunch of bands, and they are all really friggin' good.
It's a fertile scene. That's crazy.
Any one of those bands could put out an album of the year for me at any point in time.
Yeah.
Kind of almost at will. And one of the big sort of it is, as scenes tend to be, kind of incestuous, and one of the main dudes in that scene seems to be this guy named Brian Ellis. He's a keyboard player. He was in Astra, and he kind of led Psychomagia. No, Seamus, no love for the OCs. Sorry, but yeah. So anyway, Brian Ellis, was in Psychomagia, which was on El Paraiso, and I think he and Jonas Monk are pretty friendly, and so basically they had the thing where Jonas Monk went out to San Diego and got together with Brian Ellis, and they brought in just a whole bunch of musicians from this scene, and they created like this, collaborative record. And
Yeah, it's like a Who's Who record, isn't it?
yeah, very jazzy, very psych. It's the sort of thing that in the wrong hands would go terribly wrong. I don't think that much was written beforehand. And I don't know how much they used, I don't know how much they generated versus what they used. But man, this thing rips all the way through.
I mean, there's some Earthless sound in there, that heavy like acid rock soloing, and there's some jazziness to it. It covers a lot of ground, but it's all great, and it's man, that's a lot of fun to listen to this record.
Yeah, it is
for sure.
It is a killer record. And yeah, this one and Mora were neck and neck from,
Right
Mora
on.
was the one to beat. This one came up and it was like, oh, is this beating it? Is it not? And it was, those two for a lot of the year, I figured one of the two would be my top. There was for a long time I thought it was going to be Mora. For a long time I thought it was going to be this record. And then late in the year, I had one pop in, and I don't know, drum roll. We doing a drum roll?
Drum roll number one coming.
It's been like 3.5 fucking hours, man. Like we might as well drum roll.
That's right.
Causa Sui, Sabo Delico, came out like last month and flew into the top, and obviously on El Paraiso, because it's Causa Sui. And these guys, man, I've been a fan of theirs for probably 6 or 7 years. Europai Tide had been my favorite record of theirs, and this one, I think is their best. This one beats it.
Right on.
So much cool psychs. There's a jazz element to it. It's Gabor Sabo, I guess, is a jazz guitarist, and a lot of the record seems to be taking influence from or in tribute to him.
Yep.
And there's a couple of tracks that have sort of little riffs on his name. So, man, this record is so great, so beautiful, melodic, psychedelic. I mean, it really takes you on a journey.
Great groove, great flow. Yeah, a solid listen from start to finish for sure.
Yeah, I really really loved it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right on.
and well, you know, I'm pretty cashed. I don't know how much more I'm gonna have to say on it. Um, but yeah, I like this one a lot. So if you're still listening, thank you, Jesus Christ, thank you. Um, I wouldn't still be listening. Lord knows. So thank you, John. It's been a really cool year. We'll put the list up on Facebook. We'll put
Yep.
the list up on Instagram too, and we may use these various and sundry sessions. Yeah, no, don't worry, Eugene. We'll list them all up.
Yeah.
You know, we may or may not. I think we will, but we'll see. You know, cull through these various sessions to 4 more hours. Don, I'd be asleep. It wouldn't happen. At any rate, yeah, we'll probably make this whole thing the next episode that'll come out on Tuesday the 5th. You're going to see more video from us, not anywhere near this long, but you'll see a lot of short videos from us this year. I think we're going to try to revive the next time on Freebird. Might as well at this point. And good hanging with you too, Seamus. Thank you.
Thank you so much, guys.
Yeah. So you'll see more video from us. You'll see
Chet.
more social media, more stuff. We've got a lot of stuff coming up. I'm really excited about what we're planning out. So it's going to be a great year. And cheers, Eugene. Cheers, Chet. Thank you guys so much for hanging in there.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Thank you so much. Have a happy new year.
Have a happy new year. Let's get on the other side and I'll hang out and get some drinks or something.
Absolutely.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.